Today's video, I'm going to share with you the number one most important thing that you have to consistently work on and master in order to raise your frequency so that you can manifest whatever it is that you want in your life. You know, a lot of people talk about visualizations and affirmations, and all these things are great because it gives you this little boost in your frequency as you're going throughout the day. The challenge with that is that if you are visualizing and you feel really good, and then you hop in your car and you go on the freeway and you're so upset and impatient that there's traffic, well, everything you just did is working against, or the traffic, how you're reacting in the traffic is working against all the good stuff that you just did. So the affirmations, the visualizations, the meditations, none of that matters if you don't master this one thing, and that is your interaction with other human beings, okay? Because what's gonna affect your vibration the most is your interaction with other people, whether it's virtually, through, online, whether it doesn't even have to actually physically be a live interaction. This could be something, watching a video online that upsets you, or seeing a comment on the internet that upsets you, or getting in an argument, let's say it is in the physical, with your spouse or with your friend or a family member. And this is the most important because it has the biggest effect on our vibration. And, I can only theorize why this is, and I think it's because human connection is the most important thing that we need as a species in order to make life worth living. So I used to always say this thing to my clients, because often we get so caught up in wanting to master the physical, meaning material things, and that's all great. And sometimes we will neglect our relationships with our friends, our family members, our employees, our spouses, and we get caught in this 60, 70, 80 hour a week hustle because we want the car, the house, or whatever. And by any means, I'm not saying to not go after those things, but I'm saying to make sure that you put importance on your relationships. And this is the one thing I used to tell my clients, which I'm sure you will agree with, and it really puts things in perspective for you on what is most important. And I'm going to tie this into why my theory around why our human interactions affect our vibration so much, whether it's raising it or lowering it, and that's this. So let's say you're grinding 80 hours a week, you're ignoring your family, you're not spending time with your children or your spouse or whatever, and you want to get those material things. Now, I want you to think about this. Let's say that every single material thing on this earth disappeared, meaning all the houses disappeared, all the cars, the computers, these phones, all the technology, and we had to go back to the Stone Ages, right? Where we're literally living in mud huts and teepees and things like this, but you still had your family. If that happened, would you still want to live? Of course, right? Of course you'd want to live if you still have your loved ones. You'd have to make some adjustments. There'd be a lot of learning to do, but it would still be worthwhile living. Now, let's flip it. Let's say that every single material possession on the planet was still here. You could have any house, any car, you could have airplanes, you could have it all. But every single human being on the planet disappeared, and you were the last person living. Would you even want to live anymore? Probably not, right? And that should tell you right there. Because our relationships, the human interaction, this human experience, our relationships are the most important thing that we have to cultivate. So that's why my theory as to why interactions with other human beings could either raise our vibration or lower our vibration is because the significance and how important it really is to our livelihood of making this life experience worth it. And so when you take that perspective of, hey, if every material thing on this planet disappeared, but I still have my family, I still have my friends, I'd still want to live. But if every human being disappeared and I could have all the material possession I wanted, I wouldn't want to be around anymore. Now, here's the thing. again, if you're waking up, you're meditating, and then you hop on a call with a team member, or you go to your job and you're upset at your coworker or this or that, you're literally doing all this work for virtually nothing, because it's going to raise your frequency in that moment when you're meditating, you're reading, you're flying high, and then it's going to drop down as soon as you have those bad interactions. So I'm going to give you a couple things that I like to practice in my relationships, and I'm not 100%. I am better than probably 99% of people, I would say, at managing my frequency in this manner. But number one is, when you're going into an interaction, know that whoever is more convinced about how they feel will always influence the other person. Meaning, if I'm going into an interaction with, say, my spouse, and I'm more pissed off than she is calm, so she's having a good day, I'm pissed off, I come in, it might not even be at her. I could be pissed off at something else, but I come in with that energy. If I'm more convinced about how I feel about being mad than she is about being calm, I will influence her to be upset without even necessarily doing anything. And the opposite is true, right? If she's more calm than I am about being angry, I can come in with this anger in front, da 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 da. But if she remains calm in that moment, she will eventually influence me to be calm. So knowing and understanding that every interaction that you have, that person is either influencing you to feel a certain way, or you are either influencing them to feel a certain way. And you can literally do this without even saying a word, right? It could be you show up in a place, you got that scowl on your face, and you're all upset and you're mad and you're angry. People can walk into that same room and feel that energy from you. And you can literally, you can change and shift the energy in the room from being happy and joyous and all that to now feeling this tension and this anger in the air. So number one, knowing that is key. Hey, whenever I go into my world, excuse me, take a drink of water. By the way, if you like this, what I'm sharing, hit that like button for me and comment if there's anything that's coming to you while I'm saying this. The second thing I like to do, which is simple and easy, am I going to have my editor cut this out? I'll just leave it. Second thing is, if you start to feel those negative emotions coming up, pause and take a deep breath. I mean, it's as simple as that. Literally, you start to feel the sadness, the frustration, the fear bubbling up. Pause and take a couple deep breaths. Regulate your nervous system so that you're not lashing out with these emotions. Because again, you're starting to feel those negative emotions. You're starting to drop down on the frequency chart. So how do we raise that? By breathing, getting ourselves back up to that neutral place. Now, the third thing I recommend is, if you are in an interaction and maybe you're trying the breathing and all that, and it's simply not working, go take a walk. Just get out of that environment that you're in, because believe it or not, when we're in an environment like that, and our aura is projecting all these negative emotions, we're literally, we're filling that room with that negative energy. And so leaving that room, going outside, grounding yourself in the earth, just getting out of that environment will naturally help you raise your frequency. Then, when you go back to that environment, you may need to do some alchemy, get that negativity out of that room. But if you can master that above everything else, how you interact with other human beings, how you respond to people, your relationships, your connections, and that will do more for you throughout the human experience than all these other things that you can do. Now, all those other things should be like the cherry on top, or the supercharger to raising your frequency. But the base of it, the engine, is how we're going to interact through our human experience. All right, guys, so hopefully that helped. If it did, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And for those of you who want to really get in this mindset of raising your frequency, you are wanting to be in a place of abundance in every area of your life, not just, in one area. You want everything to be lined up. There's going to be a link down in the description for you to get access to a free hypnosis assessment with one of my team members, where we're going to do a deep dive to figure out what are some of the things in your subconscious mind that may be holding you back from breaking through to the higher levels of success, raising your frequency, and all the stuff we're talking about. So if that's you, go down in the description, click the link to book a call, and look forward to working with you guys in the future.